The story begins with Cal saying goodbye to his dog, Runt, before riding his bike to school. On the way, he notices some classmates arriving in luxury cars and getting into trouble, dealing with illegal substances. In that moment, Cal knows it's definitely not a good idea to hang around that group. When he gets to school and starts going up the stairs, he sees a coin on the ground. He bends down to pick it up without knowing it's a trap. Right then, Ronnie, a troublemaker from class, shows up and deliberately pushes him. Cal gathers his books, gets up, and continues on his way to the classroom. Nearby, Cecily notices that Cal dropped something and decides to pick it up so she can return it to him later. During the exam, things get complicated. Hank sits behind Cal just so he can copy his answers. Cal tries to cover his sheet to stop him from cheating, but Hank gets mad and basically forces him to let him look. Mr. Talley notices what's going on, but instead of blaming Hank, he scolds Cal and tells him he'll fail the test if he keeps giving answers to others. In the next class, Cal sees Gabriella, the girl he's liked since 8th grade, and starts sketching her face in his notebook. When the teacher asks them to form groups of 3, Cal rushes to join Gabriella's group, even though she's Vic's girlfriend. Borgie, his friend, scolds him because he knows Gabriella already has a boyfriend, but Cal can't help looking at her whenever he gets the chance. Later, in art class, Cecily approaches Cal and returns the slightly embarrassing item he had lost. She takes the chance to talk to him and finds out Cal wants to go to college in Rhode Island. That makes her a little sad because it means he'll be leaving soon. Cal just says he wants to stay as far away from that town as possible. After classes, Cal gathers the courage to ask Gabriella to the school dance, but she tells him she's not going. As she walks away, Cal quietly slips his drawing into her backpack. In the parking lot, Hank confronts Cal and accuses him of snitching to Mr. Talley. Even though Cal insists he didn't, Hank steals his bike and drags him to the back of the bleachers. Vic shows up and tries to convince Cal to talk to the teacher so Hank won't miss the game because of his bad grade. He says that if Hank doesn't play, it'll hurt the whole team. But Cal, fed up with everything, refuses to help them, so the boys decide to get revenge. Vic holds him down while the others shove him into a barrel and roll him down the stairs. Bruised and hurting, Cal arrives late to work, and his boss scolds him, threatening to fire him. When he finally gets home, Runt greets him by running over and lying down next to him. Even though he's exhausted, Cal tries to get up and play with him, knowing the little dog has been alone all day. Hours later, late at night, Cal's mom gets home from work and goes straight to bed because she has to wake up early again. The next morning, when Cal arrives at school, he's called to the principal's office. The janitor claims he saw Cal being attacked on the football field. The principal tries to help him, asking what happened, but Cal freezes when the coach walks in with Vic to cover himself. Vic pulls out the drawing Cal had put inside Gabriella's backpack and accuses Cal of stalking her. The principal asks again what really happened on the field, but Cal, pressured, says nothing happened. From that day on, Cal decides to completely avoid Hank and his group. At the end of the afternoon, when Cal goes to grab his bike to head to work, he's surprised when Cecily suddenly appears and asks if he wants to go to the dance with her. But Cal, still overwhelmed by the day, tells her no, he's not going to the dance. Later, after a long shift at the supermarket, Cal goes back home completely drained, and he sees Cecily sitting outside the library. In that moment, he changes his mind. He walks up to her and agrees to go to the dance together. When Cecily sees the injuries on Cal's face, she asks him what happened, and he, embarrassed, makes up a story about falling off his bike so he won't have to tell the truth. After chatting for a while, Cecily asks him to walk her home, but on the way, the two of them have a small accident and fall. She bursts out laughing and thanks him for coming with her. And that's when Cal starts to realize he's beginning to feel something for her. That night, completely exhausted, he gets home and doesn't even have the energy to take Runt out for a walk. The next day, while walking through the hallway, Cal overhears the coach talking to Mr. Talley about Hank's grades, and he realizes that even though he refused to help him, Hank is still going to keep cheating without facing any consequences. In literature class, the groups get together again and Gabriella walks up to Cal to apologize for what happened. She tells him that Vic got furious when he saw the drawing and that everything spiraled out of control because of his jealousy. To make it up to him, Gabriella invites Cal to a party at her boyfriend's house. And although it sounds strange, Cal seriously considers going. When school ends, Borgi goes to Cal's house to practice shooting. There he learns about Gabriella's invitation and gets super excited. He tries to convince Cal to go, telling him that maybe Gabriella has feelings for him. In the middle of that conversation, Cal notices Runt is missing. Panicking, he starts searching, but finds him seconds later a few meters away, safe and sound. Relieved, he pets his dog and decides he will go to the party. Borgi celebrates. Finally, they'll get to hang out with the popular crowd. When they arrive at Vic's house, Borgi immediately disappears into a group of girls, while Cal goes looking for Gabriella. Every corner of the house is full of teens using illegal substances, and Cal starts to regret coming. But that changes the moment he finds Gabriella. He's instantly drawn to her and forgets all about the bad atmosphere. A little later, Cecily also arrives at the party looking for Cal, and he's happy to see her. When Cal notices that Borgi is completely out of control from excitement, he invites Cecily outside so they can talk in peace. He sees that she's cold and puts his jacket on her. Right at that moment, Hank sees them through the window and calls everyone else to go after Cal. Vic and his gang catch him, shove him into the trunk of a car, and as revenge for getting close to Gabriella, Vic tries to intimidate and attack Cecily. The girl, terrified, starts crying. Cal hears everything from inside the car and desperately kicks at the seat, trying to get out and help her. Luckily, Gabriella shows up and stops Vic before things get worse. When Cal finally gets out of the trunk, he finds Cecily completely traumatized, and she immediately leaves in her car. The next day, Cal tells Borgi what happened and blames him for not being there to help. The tension explodes and Cal ends their friendship. Meanwhile, Gabriella, feeling guilty, leaves an origami on Cal's desk, but he throws the paper in the trash, making it clear he doesn't want to talk to her. After class, Cal goes to get his bike so he can head to work, but he instantly notices something is wrong. The chain has been cut. He suspects Hank vandalized it. Desperate, Cal runs to the supermarket, but once again he arrives late, and the manager decides to fire him. Hours later, Cal gets home exhausted after a long walk, and with all his anger piled up, he feels like the bike incident was the last straw. So he secretly grabs his mom's car keys and heads out, determined to get revenge on Hank. When Runt sees him getting in the car, he runs after him and ends up tagging along for the mission. Cal gets to the place where Hank usually hangs out, and after making sure no one is watching, he tries to slash the tires. But his knife is too dull and he can't get it done. Frustrated, he grabs the barbecue lighter fluid and, blinded by rage, sets the entire car on fire. In seconds, the flames spread. Vic runs to put the fire out while calling the police, and Hank manages to see Cal running away with his dog. The next morning, Cal is having breakfast, unable to stop thinking about what he did. When his mother leaves for work, Cal fixes his bike and decides to go apologize to Cecily for everything that happened at the party. But when he gets to her house, her father tells him she's not there. So Cal heads straight to the library to wait for her. While he's waiting, Hank sees him and recognizes him thanks to Runt. Terrified, Cal grabs his dog and runs to hide behind a dumpster. Once he's sure Hank is gone, he comes out of hiding and on his way home, buys a pair of brass knuckles to defend himself. Later, Cecily texts him and Cal goes to meet her, with Runt always by his side. During their conversation, she confesses that her dad is on probation, and that she didn't want to tell him what Vic tried to do because she feared her father would go after Vic and end up back in prison. She also tells him that the rumor going around school is that Cal was the one who set Vic's car on fire. And when he hears it, Cal realizes his situation is much worse than he thought. Before they say goodbye, Cecily asks if he'll be going to school the next day and warns him to be careful because Vic and his friends are furious and are looking for him. The next day, when Cal arrives at school, he discovers it was Borgie who cut his bike chain, all because he was hurt over what happened between them. When he finds out, Cal understands that now Vic and Hank have even more reasons to attack him. He decides to avoid them at all costs. But by the end of the day, they corner him in the parking lot. The fight draws dozens of students. Vic and his gang start beating Cal while Cecily tries in vain to stop them. Thankfully, Mr. Tally shows up just in time. In the middle of the chaos, Cal manages to break one of Vic's fingers and escapes. On his way home, Ronnie intercepts him. But not to fight, he congratulates him for standing up to Vic and offers him a ride. Cal accepts, and as they say goodbye, he also agrees to meet up at the bowling alley that night. Before going into his house, Cal checks the mailbox and finds a letter from the university he wants to attend. He pockets it, and when he opens the door, there's Runt waiting with his ball, ready to play. Cal spends the afternoon with him, clearing his mind a bit. At the bowling alley, he meets up with Ronnie, who congratulates him again for how he handled himself. During their conversation, Ronnie shares something heavy. He quit illegal substances after his stepfather once poured bleach into his drink without him knowing. That incident sent him to the hospital on the brink of death. After that, he suffered migraines for 6 months, began having internal bleeding, and had to quit sports forever because his performance never recovered. Since then, he hasn't gone near any substance again. After having a good time with his new friends, Cal invites Cecily to his house, taking advantage of the fact that his mom will be working late. While they talk, Cecily notices how much Cal loves his dog, and he tells her he found Runt when he was just a puppy. Later, while they're watching a movie, Runt starts whining for attention. To avoid interrupting the moment, Cal leaves him outside until Cecily goes home. A few minutes later, he hears the dog barking, but decides not to get up and stays lying on the couch. They both end up falling asleep with the movie still playing in the background. The next morning, Cal wakes up and discovers that Cecily was looking around his room. She found the letter from the University of Rhode Island, still unopened. When Cal finally gathers the courage to open it, he learns he's been rejected. That means he and his mom will have to move to Los Angeles because he did receive a scholarship to the University of California. After saying goodbye to Cecily, Cal goes downstairs to look for Runt and feed him, but the dog is nowhere to be found. Worried, he decides to go look for him, and that's when he finds his baseball bat, covered in blood. Heart pounding, he follows the trail to a dumpster. When he opens it, he finds Runt's body. Devastated, Cal gathers all of his dog's belongings and buries them along with Runt. He cries over the loss of his best friend. And when he has no tears left, all that remains inside him is anger. So he heads to school determined to get revenge. As soon as he arrives, he confronts Vic, but Vic denies having anything to do with it. Hank even shoves him and tells him to back off if he doesn't want things to get worse. Cecily tries to talk to him, but Cal is so consumed by anger that he completely ignores her. For the rest of the morning, his mind can focus on only one thing: revenge. Nothing else matters. When he sees the football team practicing for the big game, he comes up with the perfect idea to make them pay. Meanwhile, Cecily finds out what happened to Runt and understands why Cal is acting this way. And from the way Vic is behaving, she also begins to suspect he was involved. Days go by, and during an event in the gym, Cal shows up. The students push him toward the court, knowing there's tension between him and Vic. Vic stares straight at him, tells him to back off, and then imitates the sound Runt made when he was dying. At that moment, Cal becomes certain Vic was the one who attacked his dog, and he decides to wait until the day of the big game to put his plan into motion. When the game finally arrives, Cal manages to slip past security, sneaks into the locker room, and mixes bleach with Hank's stash of illegal substances. At halftime, Coach Wilkes scolds his team for losing. Vic regrets not being able to play because of his broken finger, since he could have helped his team turn the score around. Minutes before the second half begins, Hank and Javier go into the locker room to use the substance they believe will give them the boost they need. But as soon as they take it, they start feeling extremely sick. They try to force it out of their bodies, but it's too late. Their screams alert the coach, who runs to help them and calls an ambulance. When Vic finds out, he panics. His friends could lose their chance at getting into college, and he knows there's nothing he can do. Shortly after, the boys are taken to the hospital. That's when Cal goes looking for Vic and finds him crying outside the field. He walks up to him and confesses that he was the one responsible for what happened to Hank and Javier. Furious, Vic runs after him, intending to get revenge, not knowing that Cal is guiding him toward an empty courtyard behind the school. Once Cal makes sure no one is around, he grabs the same baseball bat Vic used to eliminate his dog and charges at him. Blow after blow, Cal releases all the rage he's been holding in since losing Runt. In the middle of the beating, Vic finally confesses his crime. That's when Cal learns the whole truth. Vic had gone to Cal's house intending to attack him, but Runt noticed him, tried to defend his home, and was the one who ended up dying. Meanwhile, Cecily and Borgie, worried because Cal hasn't shown up anywhere, decide to search the school for him. In the middle of the fight, Borgie arrives at the courtyard with his mom's gun and fires a shot into the air to stop them. That single shot freezes everything for a moment. Seeing his friend armed, Cal panics and tries to convince him to put the gun down before something worse happens. At that moment, Vic takes advantage, pulls out his phone, and tries to call the police, but Cal catches up to him, snatches the phone, and destroys it. He then takes the gun from Borgie and orders him to go home immediately. Borgie obeys, leaving Cal alone with Vic, who tries to escape however he can. When Vic realizes Cal might actually pull the trigger, he starts begging and apologizing, but Cal makes it clear that nothing he says will ever bring Runt back. Right before the situation becomes irreversible, Cecily appears. She steps between them and tries to stop Cal from doing something that would ruin his life forever. To calm him down, she offers him the bat, telling him that if he needs to take it out on something, at least don't end someone's life. At that moment, Cecily notices that Cal is seriously injured, so she helps him and walks with him toward the parking lot. Worried about what might happen to her, Cal insists that she go home and tell the police she was there all night so she won't be involved. But she refuses. Cecily tells him she's not leaving him alone and takes his hand. And just like that, the two decide to go to the dance together. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know what you think about this movie.